Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. We're here today to discuss the new season of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 Days, Season 6. Season 6 already, Episode 1. I'm definitely excited for this one. I'm usually excited for all of them. I enjoy having the new people and situations to discuss. I'm excited for Gino and Jasmine to come back. Diving back into that saga, last time we saw them, I started off thinking Jasmine was a little crazy, and she definitely is, and controlling. But by the end, I was Team Jasmine. We all know what Gino did. At this point, I'm just excited to see where they're moving from there. So, that being said, let's get into this new season of Before the 90 Days. So first we start off, we meet Amanda. She's 31, she's from Louisiana. She's with her two adorable kids. They're laying in bed praying. They ask their mama to sleep with their daddy's box in the room. So she goes and gets her deceased husband's, I believe it's his urn. I'm guessing that his ashes are in there. They kiss it goodnight, and everyone's little heart breaks, I am sure. Mine did. It's been 45 seconds, I got a tear. So we find out that she lost her husband Jason to cancer. They were together for 8 years. He started out with like some pneumonia symptoms. He had CT scans and everything. They couldn't find nothing, but he knew something was wrong. It went and spread through his whole body very quickly, and he actually passed away only 10 days after the diagnosis. She took a few days to tell her kids about it, which is understandable, but you can definitely tell she works hard to keep his memory alive. She brought in his little blankie, their dad's blanket, and covers them with it. She mentions that he did tell her to move on and to find love. I'm not sure he meant to do it within a year of him passing. That's none of my business. She did express some remorse for moving on so soon. I guess nobody can tell someone else when the right time to do that is. While she was grieving, she took to watching TikTok and social media stuff a lot, just to escape reality. And she saw this beautiful specimen of man and sent him a rose on TikTok, which I've never done. I'm not a big TikToker. But she sent him a rose. She said it's like less than $1. This man's name was Razvan. He is 26 and he lives in Romania. He's a model, singer, social media guy. He's helped her learn to laugh and move on through her grief. She's worried about how the kids will take everything, but she thinks that's going to work itself out. Amanda and her sister Amber are headed off to get spray tans before Amanda's going to head to Romania to meet Razvan. She's afraid to look pale, and I don't know why. I'm very pale. I enjoy it. It goes with my look. I guess everyone doesn't have that, though. It's all good. Her sister thinks this is her, covering up her grief. of her husband passing. They're sitting there having a talk. The sister has a beautiful Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo that I would like to point out because I was jealous. I loved it. I'm already a fan of the sister. The sister points out how Amanda and Razvan break up a lot. Amanda goes in to talk about the last time he went on a Facebook Live and thought she was asleep, and someone requested for him to be in the shower when they were in the shower. Something with the shower. She was not a fan, and she wasn't very appreciative of that. So, she starts telling her sister she hopes she comes back engaged. Her sister's eyes cannot roll back farther into her head. And I don't blame her. She's never met this man. She lost her husband not even a year ago. You know, she has 2 kids. I don't believe this man's ever been a father anyway. So, I can see why the sister is a little worried. She says she's feeling a void and vulnerable. And, you know, I hope that she would consider her as in some type of therapy. But I doubt it, you know, with some of these actions. I cannot believe this woman is leaving these babies for 3 weeks, not even a year after they lost their father. I feel like that is going to be triggering and scary for them. And I just hope they handle it well and, you know, they get to communicate and all of that. You know, one of her babies is only 4, so it's hard to say if they can understand why she's gone or any of that. They move into a video chat between Amanda and Razvan, and he seems very playful. He's joking with her. But she's upset about a movie trailer that she saw him film. You know, and he's like, it's art. I don't think if you have these jealousy issues, which isn't like a bad thing. I'm not here to tell you what issues you should have. But you shouldn't date someone who's a model, actor, social media stud. You know? That's just asking to be more insecure. She talks to him about being a stepdad, and he's saying, you know, oh yeah, I'll play with them. I love to play with them. And she's like, well, there's more to that than being a dad. I think him playing with them is a good start. I don't think anyone's going to jump into the role of dad or can replace that. I feel like she's in mom mode where we all, mothers, you know, when something's wrong with our kids, we want to jump in and fix it. Or if they get hurt, we want to make it so it never happened. And being a single mother, I know there was a time that I was desperate to fill that void in my household and, you know, get that male figure back. But then I realized that I need to be the person that they need. I need to fill that role. So I think she's focusing more on what she thinks her kids need and trying to replace what they deserve and need and want instead of being what they deserve and need and want. You know, they took her to the airport and the kids had their father's ashes in the back seat, which is great. I have no idea how I would handle any of this. But obviously these kids are still grieving and hurting and don't understand. So I think bringing someone else into the picture so soon might damage them more than help them. You know, what are the chances the first man you meet you're going to marry and live happily ever after something like that? You know, you need to find yourself, continue dating and all that stuff. She's saying, you know, the next man has to be the right one. She's putting all this pressure on herself, which isn't fair because that's just setting you up for failure. And if you don't accomplish that, you're going to be harder on yourself. You have to have less expectations, less pressure. So we kind of end there with her. They end up at the airport, and I guess we'll see what happens with them next. I don't have too much opinions on them, except I think she needs to really look inside and work on her grief and the trauma and the acceptance instead of being in super mom mode. I need to fix everything. Some things you can't fix, and she should just be there for these babies and not leave them for 3 weeks. Just saying. Next, we hear the voice. The voice we recognize anywhere, right? Gino. He's out here at a hair shop surrounded by beautiful ladies, feeling hair. I don't know how Jasmine will feel that he was in a shop with women, but apparently she sent him there. These ladies proceed to tell him, each piece is $300. I've never bought hair, so I don't know. But $300, she'll need about 5, right? I'm not going to do the math. I failed algebra several times throughout my life, so anyways, $300 times 5. Okay, he says, oh no, no, Jasmine, I can't afford it. So he asks these ladies if he could get like a sample, some samples. He calls her up asking if that's okay. She's like, what the hell am I going to do with some samples? I want a full head of hair. She's going to have one piece, right? So I don't know what happens. I don't know if he bought all the hair. I can't remember if they showed us that. We start going into flashbacks. Immediately, I hear the baby talk, right? And, the cringe came back. Who's my little bonito gordito? Me. Or whatever she says, right? So they're going back, and we're seeing all their explosive arguments. We're seeing nude gate, everything about that. Apparently, he's filed the visa. They're stuck in the process. It's been about a year. So he's headed back to Colombia to see her before she explodes, right? So he's packing. Maybe he wasn't packing, but he was like, I updated my wardrobe. Jasmine's gonna be so happy. He shows the shirts, and they're these very colorful, were they Hawaiian? I don't know, but they were printed, colorful shirts. I don't think Jasmine's gonna enjoy them. And then he shows his new hats he bought for the trip, right? And he's proud. He's like, this is what I wore last time. This is what I got now. I got the Big Daddy hat, right? I don't know how that's gonna go. So finally, we get to move over to Jasmine, and she's in, I believe, a gynecologist, some lady doctor for sure. And she's in the chair, and all of a sudden she's talking to him, and she wants basically to be like a virgin again, right? She starts telling the doctor about how horrible her sex life is. Gino has a hard time, finishing. She says he prefers to go to the bathroom and take care of himself than be with her. So she thinks that this is going to solve that issue. She tells the doctor she jumps, skips, dances, hops on one foot, everything. Not doing it for Gino, right? The doctor is saying like, whoa, this woman overshares. She thinks we're on girls' night. He actually said, These are things you talk about with your girls on a girls' night, right? She thinks like getting a new lady part is going to, it's not even a new one. Adjusting the one she has is going to make him happier. And I really don't think that's the problem. Like, her parts are magnificent. She's beautiful. So maybe it's that attitude. Maybe it's something else, you know? But this doctor isn't going to help her with that. So we eventually get back to Gino, and he's saying about how he's got a new job as an automotive engineer. Basically so he can afford Jasmine and her lifestyle, right? But he's working all the time. Before, when he didn't have a job, he could talk to her all day and night whenever she requested him, right? But not anymore. She has a hard time with that, I guess. So, we see them getting a video call, and he pulls out the new hat, right? She definitely hates it. Her face says, "I hate this. Terrible." But she pretends that she likes it. Maybe because it's effort. It's nicer than the crusty old baseball hat he's been rocking for 20 years. But then she brings up the visa, and she finds out there's still no news. So this sets her off into a tizzy, right? Like, it's all Gino's fault. Like, he called them people and said, delay this so I can deal with this woman every day, making my life miserable. So, without knowing when her visa's gonna come in, Jasmine has been apartment hopping. She's basically doing month to month, I believe. Something like that, you know? She never knows how long she could stay. She's requesting Gino to put her up in this $3,000 a month apartment because it's the last month in her country. She thinks it's the last month. Nobody knows when the visa's coming through. But she wants to live like a queen. She deserves it. She's the queen over there, right? So she needs a 2-bedroom apartment. Gino is like, why don't you get a 1-bedroom? Apparently, Jasmine's sister has been living with her. Apparently, Gino's paying for that too. Nobody said, but I doubt she's going half on the rent with Jasmine, who pays nothing. She's saying they need their own room so they can, like, work on their sex life. So then she starts going in on his manhood. I believe, like, she's insecure about herself because he can't finish. Gino starts explaining it's hard for him to finish and get in the mood when all they do is fight. You know, she's always mad at him. She's always belittling him. She's always berating him. It's kind of hard to keep it going. Or, you know, get to that point when you can't relax yourself and, like, think. Or not think. You know, clear your head. You know, you've been there. It's a little hard when someone's just nagging at you all the time. So, Jasmine definitely had some work done. And I'm sure Gino paid for that as well. She looks beautiful. She looked beautiful before. I believe she had work done before, so it's not out of character for her. She looks good. But I'm saying, this man paid for that. I can't even get a coffee. So, I don't know. Must be me. I always feel bad for Gino until I remember what he did, right? But at the same time, she chose to stay, so she shouldn't torture him forever for what he did. So we find out that Jasmine got the fancy apartment she wanted. I'm shocked. She goes to meet her friend that helped her get the apartment. I don't know if he got it for her or if he like recommended her. Ugh, hold on. Little jiggity jank. Anyway, she sits down with her friend. Gino doesn't know about this. We find out this is like her ex. And we also find out that he lives in the same building. I remember Jasmine having a full-on meltdown. I believe a full-on meltdown. She was upset because Gino said he liked the paint color in his house that his ex-wife helped him pick out 15 years ago, or however long. And he liked the color. I'm sure they agreed. But she's like, repaint the whole house, get rid of the carpet, anything this woman touched, out. But she's over here having coffee dates with her ex, talking about, oh, we're going to live in the same building. Gino doesn't know. And he's like, oh, Gino will be there. Because everyone knows Jasmine is going to be there for a month. Gino's going to be there 3 weeks, living in the same building with her ex. And he doesn't know it yet. So that's going to be fun to watch. She starts to tell Dan, her ex, about Gino sending the photos. And we find out that because of the photos leaking and everything, she lost her job. Now, last season, she said this was possible, that she could lose her job because of this. And Gino was didn't care. I don't know the word, but he didn't care. He's like, you're not going to lose your job, Jasmine. If you do, I'll take care of you. Right? So, I believe she's making him pay. This is her revenge. You cost me my career. You're paying for a $3,000 a month apartment and my new face and everything else until I feel better. That's definitely Jasmine and her style. So, let me know what you think. Are you glad to see Gino and Jasmine? Do you think their story's going to be juicy? Because I do. I'm excited for Gino and Dan to meet. Apparently, the meeting I didn't know I needed. So, let me know what you think about them down in the comments. Now we move on to our other, new people. Riley. He is 48 from Pennsylvania. He is a jazz lover. We see him putting away his records. He says he used to have like 2,000 albums. He lost them in a house fire. And you can tell he enjoys them. He's kind of geeking out, showing everybody his collection. He's mostly a jazz fan, but he had some Elton John in there. So he likes most music, I think. He definitely just reminded me of Ray Gardner from Soul. Just his hairdo and the jazz vibe, like the Salt and Pepper. I love that movie. Anyway, he was giving me Ray vibes, right? So we find out he works in public safety for the government, and he's ex-military. He's taking his beautiful dog for a walk, and while he's walking, he's talking about his past love life. Wasn't that great. Shocker. He had an ex who he came home and found someone he had introduced her to hiding in the closet. So that was rough. He took a few years off from dating after that, right? I think anyone would. So then he started dating, and he was talking to a woman to the point of ring shopping. And long story short, she ghosted him, took off, he never heard from her again. He was trying to figure out someone to talk to, and for some reason his head thought well, I can't sleep and I'm up all night, so I'm going to talk to someone from the other side of the world. So it's daytime there and night here, and they'll talk to me. So he got a Vietnamese dating app, and that's where he met Violet. She's 43 from Vietnam. He says she's the sweetest jerk you'll ever meet, and I got Sammy vibes, sweetest bitch you'll ever meet. So, he's getting ready to go finally meet her in person, right? He's taking the plunge, going over there. They have a video phone call. She keeps trying to get him to say, I love you. And he doesn't say that to people because as soon as he says, I love you, the person leaves. Everybody has their little things. I won't date a Taurus. Don't ask me why. It's a long story. If you really want to hear it, comment. Maybe I'll tell you. Things like that. Everyone has their superstitions around dating, right? She told him that women in Vietnam say the opposite of what they mean. So, I hate you means I like you, right? So he decides to give her the finger and fly some birds. And she, flies them on back. And they're being cute. That's how they're playful. That's how he says he loves her. It's kind of like a F you. He is worried that she's hiding things, right? You never know. I'm sure everyone's worried about that anywhere. So later we see this cool guy driving on his motorcycle, and he's headed to the Juneteenth celebration to see his friends. Sean and Tiffany. I was trying to find their names. Sean and Tiffany. They're definitely against him going to the Philippines. Most the friends and family on these shows have the same reaction. They think people are crazy or whatever. You shouldn't go over there. We hear that a lot. We find out also that Violet has 2 daughters. They are 16 and 20. He would like to bring Violet and them over. Get married, have happily ever after. He does say that Violet told him she was divorced when they met, but a few months later she said her divorce was finalized. So he felt like she was lying about that. She's done things like made him delete the Vietnamese dating app, and then he's checked and she's still on there. And his friend was like, and then she got mad at you because you ain't supposed to be on there, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. The friend knows how women work, She didn't want him on there. I mean, I wouldn't want my boyfriend on a dating app either, but I sure as hell wouldn't be on it after asking him not to be. So she's sneaky, right? And the divorce thing, that's sneaky. So he does have some red flags. Hopefully he looks into them and doesn't ignore them and tries to find answers to some of these questions once he's there in person. So, no one ever listens to their friends and family. No one listens to the warnings. They don't listen to the red flags. Hopefully it works out for them. I think they're funny. I think it's going to be entertaining. I enjoy sarcasm and good banter. So, hopefully we get some laughs out of them at least. I'm sure there'll be a lot of cringe. Let me know what you guys think about Riley and Violet. I do love that name. Violet. Anyways, moving on to David. He is 42 from Omaha, Nebraska. I believe he is the first deaf man on 90 Day. Let me know if that's accurate. But I don't think they've had a deaf cast member before. I think that's awesome. It's definitely an adjustment. We're used to reading the subtitles because there's so many different languages, right? But we have like noise behind it. And the quietness was hard for me to adjust to. It reminded me of that episode of Dahmer on Netflix with the deaf victim. And yeah, that episode was really good. It was one of the best episodes in the series. But it took me a minute to adjust my ears, right? And I'm sure that's how people have to live their lives every day. You know, we just don't have to. He is playing pinball and talking about how he can feel the vibrations and he can't hear it, but he can feel it, and that makes him, happy. He enjoys it. He has 2 jobs. He stocks shelves at the grocery store. He cleans at a casino. He's got jobs. Good for him. He enjoy, most people, it's hard to get one job, so he's got jobs. He talks about how he enjoys taking walks, and that can be a little dangerous for him because he can't hear what's going on, so he has to be very alert all the time, looking around. He can't hear the cars coming or someone on a bike or anything like that. But he enjoys the breeze when he takes a walk, right? So David grew up in a all-hearing household. I think he described it. He always had problems communicating with his family members in the household. So his parents sent him to deaf boarding school, and that's where he learned sign language, and he got to be around liked people, other deaf people, and he created a family there, which is great. My problem here is, why didn't his parents try to learn sign language or try to find a way they could communicate better? And maybe they did, but it wasn't coming off that way. So maybe we'll hear more about that in the future. But, as parents, if our kids have a disability, I think good parents should try to learn how to adapt themselves rather than making their children adapt. So that's how I feel about that. They show him at the store. He's trying to order candy. We find out he can't speak at all or read lips. So it's really hard for him, right, to just even order some candy at the store. But he's ready to have a wife and a family. He's tried dating, but he's always been rejected, and it's discouraging. And he gives me the vibe of he already doesn't like the world because he doesn't feel accepted in it. That's my opinion. I think he's probably projecting a lot and has a lot of unresolved issues. But I don't know what it's like to live in a world that's not made for me. Except for in the last year and a half or so, I did lose over 200 pounds. And when I was severely overweight, chairs are hard. You can't go on rides. You don't fit in the booths. So we live in a world that's not made for obese people either. So I know what it felt like to live that way. Which isn't, I'm not going to start that debate. But it is hard to live in a world that's not made for you, I think. That's the best way I can relate to it. Um, so he said he did date a deaf woman before, but she cheated on him. But he never gave up, right? He kept out there, he kept on the apps, he kept swiping, whatever it was that he did. And that's where he met Sheila, who is 31. She has a 12-year-old son. She lives in the Philippines. So he met Sheila in a group for deaf singles. She was born hearing, but when she was 6 years old, she started having ear problems, and now she wears hearing aids. So he met her in the group for deaf singles. She's trying to learn ASL, American Sign Language, but English isn't her first language, so it's going to be difficult. But I give her props for trying to learn it when English isn't even her first language. I think that's really cool. She must, really care about him. They've been together for a little over 2 years, he says, but they never met. But he's going. He's ready. Philippines, here he comes. So he walks into his local bar, and the bartender's cool. It's like, "Sup, David?" And David's like, "Hey." He doesn't say hey. But he says hey, and then he kind of points at what he wants, and the bartender, he knows how to help him, and he knows what he wants. And I think that's awesome. I think it gives him a sense of normalcy and acceptance and belonging. And that bartender is so cool, and he deserves a raise. Because after that, he starts telling him he's going to the Philippines to meet his girlfriend. The app that he's using to talk to the bartender, adorable. The way it describes emojis, it says, smiling face, licking lips. Smiling face, licking lips. Oh my god, I loved it. So he tells the bartender he's probably going to propose when he goes over to the Philippines. The bartender's like, "Do you have any doubts here? Is there anything to worry about?" He's like, "Yeah, I do send her a lot of money, and my family doesn't like that. But she's his girlfriend, and he wants to send her money, and he wants to help her. But he's sent her about $3,000, which, depending on who you are, can be a lot. For 2 years, it could not be. Depending on your opinion. Let me know if you think $3,000 was too much." He says her house was destroyed by a typhoon, right? So they show the damage in part of the house. And I mean, if she was my girlfriend, I would send her money too. She needed help, and he wants to be her man, he can help her, right? She could be a scammer. We won't know till he gets there. But the vibes I get from her is just a single mom who wants a better life, and I think she does care about him in the 5 minutes they showed. Ask me next week, it might change. I feel like when he goes over there, they're going to have communication issues, but on this show, everybody does. Nobody knows each other's language, everyone uses translators, and they all blame communication on their issues, right? So, I expect that from everybody. I still expect that from Gino and Jasmine. Now, I had to save this next man for last. If you watched the episode, you already know why. If you're hearing it for the first time here, buckle up. So, we meet Tyree. He's 33. He's from California. We see him standing out, and he's playing the ukulele. And he's making up random songs like, "Man driving by in a red... Driving. Riding by in a red shirt and a hat." That's literally the lyrics, I believe. I I love that. I make up my own songs all day. I've done that for years. I quite enjoy it, so I could relate to that. He said he picked up ukulele because everyone who plays one is happy. He talks about how he's always been insecure of his weight. He's afraid to try to even date because he's afraid of rejection. And because of all this, he is 33 and a virgin. That is someone's personal choice, and I am not getting into it. I don't know if there is an answer for when is a good or bad time to stop being one. So I don't judge him for that or anybody. Anyway, he shares a 1-bedroom apartment with his mama, and he's helping her do some exercises. You could tell he's a caretaker of her, right? We find out that she had a tumor removed from her brain, and then right after that, she had a stroke. But she made it, and he quit his full-time job to help his mom. He then talks about how when he was a kid, his dad was murdered, and his mom had to work like several jobs to raise them, and she did everything she had to. There were times that his family was homeless and everything like that, and the least he could do now is take care of her when she needs it. So that's admirable. He starts talking about he has a girlfriend. Her name is Carmela from Barbados. He describes her as Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. Now, when he said that, I was like, those are two of the most baddest women out there right now. Like, Megan? I don't know. So then they show her picture. She does look like that. I was impressed. She was not busted, right? Beautiful woman. So, she helped him, through his mom's surgery, and he talks about how they have like naughty snap conversations. And they ask, oh, have you ever video called, to do these naughty conversations? He's like, no. I asked her once, and she didn't reply, so I just took that as no, right? So they leave it at that for a little bit. He talks about how he's trying to save up money to go there, but he's balling on a budget. They've been together for 4 years, and he wants to start a family with her. He's getting ready to tell his family. Not specifically at this moment, but, next episode would be the tell my family and friends about my secret relationship to this person in Barbados. Before we get to that, production steps in. It's juicy when this happens. You never see production and the cameras and all of that unless there's a major fight or something's crazy is about to go down. For some reason, he's like, let's go outside. Like, they were already filming sitting there in the house. But he gets up, he goes outside, and the guy is like, look, I just want you to know whatever I'm going to tell you, you can stop us from using all this footage, we could part ways. And the guy's like, dang, what happened? Okay. Obviously, he didn't go with that option because we're seeing what happened. Let me know what choice you would make after you find out what happened. So, he says, we're trying to get a hold of Carmela in Barbados. we called the number you gave us, and we finally got through, and it was a man who answered, and he confirmed that you've been talking to a man for 4 years. Not Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. And I expected Neve and Max and Cammy to jump out the bushes, and I thought that's why they went outside. So Neve could come out and be like, we're going to get him. Season whatever, catfish, here we go. Crossover. But it didn't happen. So that's where they actually end the episode. So obviously we're going to see more of what he's going to say, what he's going to do. What do you guys think he's going to do? Personally, I think it's just going to be like him talking about his feelings and how it's going to affect him. And then we're going to get a new cast member. I know that there's some couples we haven't met yet. I don't know how many, but there's some. So that was this week's episode of Before the 90 Days, Season 6. I enjoyed it. This has been one of the best first episodes in a while. It was exciting and not in like bad ways. I loved it. It was good. I hope the whole season's like this. So, thanks for sticking around this long. Let me know what you thought of everybody. Who's your favorite? Is there anyone you can't stand yet? Hit the like button if you want to see some more of me talking about this. You can subscribe, comment, whatever you'd like. I love you guys. Bye.